Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining another success webinar at Roomvu. Today, we have the legendary speaker, Craig Grant. He is here to help us understand how do we get over that fear of making video? How do we make Oscar-worthy content that goes viral, content that is useful in your business and gives you visibility? So Craig has been pretty much everywhere. He's been the president of EasyRealtySites. He's been with Real Estate Technology Institute, and I've been always impressed with stuff. So thank you so much, Craig, for joining.
Yeah, absolutely, Sam. Good to join you today.
And so tell us a little bit about your story. Like, what brought you here? Like, why did you start what you're doing right now? And
sure. I mean, well, basically, I've been a speaker, instructor, and a coach in the real estate industry since 2005. And I mainly focus on just about anything technology, marketing, or cybersecurity. So I would say if there's anything geeky, I touch it and teach it. And video has always been, I don't want to say always, over the last probably 7-8 years, been something I've been pushing harder and harder, because we're now in a world just flat out dominated by video. So I always try to focus on what really works in a realtor's business, what gets them the best return on investment and bang for their buck. And to me, video is absolutely that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So today we're going to cover a lot of things about videos, how we can actually get them going, what are the key barriers to good video production. And guys, I would put a lot of links down here for you to follow Craig, to see what he's doing. And we're going to go over a lot of tools today and so on. So let's get going. All right. So I guess, as usual, the biggest question that we always ask is, why video?
I mean, I kind of mentioned a little bit in that little intro, but I mean, I'll just kind of sum it up this way. I have literally been saying since 2017, 2017 is the year of video, 2018 is the year of video. And I was always saying I was getting more correct every single year. And now in 2022, there's no doubt. I mean, 80% of all internet consumption is video. 80% of all videos are watched on mobile. I mean, mobile video consumption is doubling every year. It crushes it on social media. I mean, I would say it's by far the most effective way to not just market, but also communicate with consumers. Like, just, it's how fast can you create a little video to tell a customer something versus typing up an email? I mean, so it's, to me, the most effective way to do everything these days with today's customer.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And what is the expectation? What is the use of a video when you're thinking video? Like, what are the typical things that you expect it to do? Like, what is the typical expectation that you have out of a video?
Well, that's hard to say because I mean, there's so many different styles of video, right? There's short form video, like you're doing a quick little TikTok. If there's more long form educational videos, or you can be holding like customer seminars. I mean, there's so many different styles of how to utilize it. And to me, the style of video and the length of the video kind of dictates your expectations of it. But the main thing that I always try to get a realtor to kind of get their heads around, and you and I were joking about this kind of before we got going, you're not going to just create one video and go viral. I mean, it maybe by miracle it could happen, but anything you do in the marketing world, it's about putting in your dues a little bit and building up that consistency and building up a presence so that people want to watch your video and start following it. So, that could just be you're trying to get one lead. It could be that you're trying to build up your YouTube followers. I mean, expectations really should be tied back to your marketing goals.
All right. So talking of expectations, so let's say I'm an agent and I come to you and I'm like, I want a video that does well on YouTube and TikTok. What is your typical answer to that?
If you're talking about just a one quickie, I mean, stuff like, anything local listicles, I mean, that kind of is a quick hit, like your market data, 5 best places to eat in town, where to go visit, all that kind of stuff. Those are like good little quick hit videos. And sometimes they have good staying power, especially if you optimize them on YouTube and different places. But again, there is no just, you're going to create a video and have overnight success. What I always say is, I don't care if you're sitting down, creating your marketing plan for your website for SEO, or if you're blogging, or if you're doing video creation or social media activity, whatever. What I always say is, if I can get a realtor to dedicate 30 minutes a day just to creating new content every single day, that's your path to success.
So that
And the
is
problem
30 minutes a day, every day.
of whatever it is, right? It
whatever
could
it
be
is.
just 30 minutes of creating social media content. It could be 30 minutes of creating video. It could be 30 minutes of written content or blogging. But it's just keeping that consistency going and building up, because Google's not going to give you page one placement because you created one video. They're not, right? They're going to give you presence once they see you build up a foundation of content and consistency in doing it. Because Google's always looking at that keyword density. They're looking at so many different things. One little piece of content's not going to do it.
Yeah, and I think you're nailing it in the head. Like that consistency is the key. And it always blows my mind how many realtors come to us and they're like, "Hey Sam, I want to go viral." And I'm like, "Okay, have you posted anything in the past year?" They're like, "No." I'm like, "What do you expect to go viral? You haven't posted anything."
Unless they're willing to basically take off all their clothes, the odds of that happening are pretty low, right? So it really is about dedicating time to creating content. And I would say, I mean, they could drop thousands of dollars into paid advertising, but content's free. It's just your time.
Yeah. And I think the key is come up with a way that you can create like a series of content in a day. Like maybe it's dedicate like 2-3 hours of your day if you don't have time.
Yep.
Shoot like a number of videos, and then that's what I do for my real estate business. So I basically show up a camera with a cameraman. I do like 3, 4, 10 micro contents.
Yeah.
And then the editor, they push it out through the time. And then you have spent that like once a week, twice a week time, but you can post this consistently. So something else that I've always seen is like realtors come to us and they're like, "Hey, I want to download 10 videos today." I'm like, "Why do you want to download it first? Like we post it for you." The second question is, "Why do you want 10?" They're like, "Well, I want to post that 10 to my social media today." I'm like, "What did your poor audience do?"
You're just going to flood them all at once and then you're going to disappear for a month. That doesn't help.
Yeah. So just spacing out that content, making sure you're posting it at the right time, at the right place, and so on. And something else we learned was that like we did about 1 million posts last year. And something else we learned was the golden number of posting is that 5 to 7 content per week. If you do more, you kind of just go down. If you do less, you're not nailing it ahead. So it's that consistency,
right? Which is about 1 a day, right?
Yeah, 1 a day. Yeah, I think just also don't post at like 4 a.m. No one is there to watch it. So I think it's just common sense stuff, right? Like
And the other thing that I coach is it's one thing about creating content, but if you're generating content that either isn't in high enough demand, or there's so much competition, you're spinning your wheels, you're wasting your time. So I'm a big believer in you do a little bit of work at the beginning, do some good keyword research, use tools like TubeBuddy for video, stuff like that, and really identify what videos you could be creating that'll work, like give you the chance to go viral, give you a chance to get a lot of exposure. Because if you just try to go after something with too much competition, it doesn't matter what you create. You'll still be buried pages back in the results. It's always about finding that kind of low-hanging fruit that not everyone's paying attention to.
That's awesome. So give us an example of that. Like what would be an example, something that you saw recently that is a good content that's no one else is covering, but it's gonna give you that chance to be seen.
Yeah, I mean, so I teach this again, whether I'm talking about written content for website SEO, anything, it's all about what's called the power of the long tail. And the long tail, basically, I don't know if you know the philosophy, it's basically when you're doing keyword research, you're doing content research, you're looking for the high volume, low competition matches. And I always show this one example of 2 different realtors in Miami, and Miami's a huge market with a ton of competition when it comes to, Google, YouTube, everything. And 2 realtors I show are on page 1 for everything that's real estate related and pet real estate related in Miami for free, because they found that nobody really was covering living, how to live near dog parks and where to board your pets in the weekends and just living and real estate and animals at the same time. So they did that research and they're on page 1 for free.
Wow. And I think that's the great example as to what you should be doing to kind of just target the content that you're making instead of just like shooting in the dark, just creating lots of different things. All right.
100%.
So now, what are the best video recording tactics? Let's go from devices to
Okay.
apps to the rest of them. And
Okay.
before we get in there, guys, I always say this. At Roomvu, we do 80% of the work for you. So that's just posting relative content. But that 20%, so whatever tool you use, it doesn't matter if you're using us or any other tool, that 20% of you getting in front of a camera, letting people see your face,
huge,
is huge. If you're not doing that, you will not get that ultimate success. So you still have to do that. Like you can rely on us for stories, posts, all those things, but still people need to see you talking.
I always say people connect with people that don't connect with logos. Like if your face is not involved in your marketing, and not just your face, like you as when video, it's got to be you, not just a picture. But if you're not involved in your marketing, it's typically an automated type thing, or people don't really engage with it very highly.
Even that eye contact, right? I was just reading a piece about why no US president ever wears a sunglass, because you can't just build that eye contact, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're on that video and you're showing up with this huge sunglasses or something that covers your face, or they cannot connect with you, right? It's all about those little things that creates that.
Absolutely. So when it comes to the devices, first of all, I'm a gigantic believer in that this device right here is suitable for 95% of the kind of videos a realtor creates. So if you're just out and about and you want to shoot a quick little, check out my new listing, or if you're out and about and you're at a restaurant or whatever you're doing, your phone is, as long as you have a good phone, is good enough to shoot just about any kind of video. And the major reason is, I talk about this a lot, and it kind of ties into what you're just talking about with the sunglasses and the eye contact and everything. People want authenticity these days when it comes to video. They don't want perfectly rehearsed where your hair is perfect and you didn't miss a word and you're reading off of cards and everything. They want you, and they want you authentic. So
authenticity, I think that you're nailing it in the head. Authenticity of that content is key. Like they should believe you that you are it's actually you. You're not just fabricating a story. You're not, and I think that's great. That's great advice.
And not just that it's you kind of like, like telling the story, but it's you, the real you. Right? Like if you're a goofy person, be goofy in your videos. If you're like a kind of a weird kind of a person, be weird. Like people want to know who you are, and they kind of connect with you as a person. So the phone usually is good for every kind of video. I would say except for two. The two styles of video that I really think needs to be polished and rehearsed is if you're going to create a commercial about yourself, like the realtor video, right? Like why hire me? And the other one would be if you're really going to create a professional promotional video for the property. Those, if you aren't a great with the camera, you might want to bring in your photographer, videographer, do those kinds of shots for you, right? And then you do want to rehearse your words and make sure everything's right. But a typical, I'm at the house, or I'm doing an open house, live open, whatever it might be, your phone is usually good enough 99% of the time. But you just might have to invest in a couple accessories, right?
I always say this, I think speaking of authenticity, if you leave it to realtors, they want to create videos, 5-minute videos of themselves getting off luxury cars, doing luxury things, and saying I'm a luxury realtor. I still don't know what that term means, but I'm like, oh man, I need a 400K condo. What are you talking about? Like,
right, exactly.
I know this is my budget. Like, what are you? Yeah, what are you selling to? I mean, that's great. Like, maybe you should have one of those videos, but you should stop making it look like you're in a market that basically it's not authentic, right?
Right. Yeah, 100%. So again, to me, the phone is usually good for almost every situation. Then if you're doing a more polished style video, then you could have a good DSLR, whatever it might be, to kind of go to that next level. But if you're going to use a phone or a tablet to do photo or video shoots, the major thing, I always say there's a few things typical consumers don't put up with when it comes to videos, and it's backed up with the data, is they don't put up with poor lighting, poor audio, and shakiness. all the bouncing and shaking that happens. So you want to think of solutions for each of those three things. So there's so many options for stabilization for the shakiness, but I'm a big believer in getting a gimbal. A gimbal aren't very expensive, $150, $200 for a gimbal, but they allow you to move around much more naturally without worrying about the shaking and bouncing. Especially if you're going to tour a property or anything, a gimbal is a very smart investment. Most microphones, the audio receptors in phones and even good DSLRs are pretty bad. So I'm definitely a believer in picking up a good microphone.
That's great. Yeah, that's great.
Yep. And then you don't always need it for every situation, but if you're going to be shooting like inside a property or whatever, you probably want to invest in some lighting to bring along if you're going to be doing that shoot. Because a lot of times, especially vacated properties, have pretty poor lighting.
It does make sense. So let's talk softwares now. Like, what are some of the good, easy enough tools that I can use as an agent to process my content? Because like, remember one thing, guys, for some of the content, you don't want to go like, because if you're posting like every day, you might not have enough time. But that one content that you're creating yourself, you need to process that content. You need to add tools to it. You need to use tools and easy enough tools. Like, don't go with Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro, because those take forever to learn and master. And then even if you master it, it takes time to process it.
Absolutely.
So what are your go-to tools?
So I'm first of all, I'm a big believer in there's two different styles of video. There's templated video, which are kind of quick, easy to do. You just kind of make little edits in them. And for that, first of all, Canva covers so many things, printed materials, social media posting. And about a year and a half, 2 years ago, they added in videos and animations, but they are very templated. So you're not going to be able to go in and add in something at the exact split second you want in Canva. It's going to be first 5 seconds of video does this, next 5 seconds of video does that.
Because a lot of times it's okay, right? Like, you don't have to have that.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you're just trying to create like a social media post or something like that, it's fine for that, right? And another one would be Adobe Spark, which again can be used as an app as well, same kind of thing for quick little templated video. For more like if you want true more video editing capabilities, I'm a big supporter of WeVideo, which is the word We, W-E. Yep. It's one of the best video editing app on Android for 7 straight years. It's really good both for as a website on a computer and an app on a mobile, which most video apps aren't. And it does podcasting. It does all kinds of video, very quick and easy and pretty inexpensively.
All right, that's awesome. So now let's talk about video hosting sites. Do I need to host this somewhere, or I can just rely on YouTube or TikTok or other places to just host my content? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to live somewhere. Because it can't just run off your desktop. So you're going to end up hosting your video somewhere. No, I wouldn't really suggest TikTok. TikTok's shelf life is so short. I mean, it's out of the feed within seconds. But to me, there's two major places you would store video, and that's either YouTube or Vimeo. So YouTube, in my opinion, should be the almost every single time you put your videos on YouTube, because the audience is just ridiculous. I just saw the most recent numbers, 3.8 billion monthly users on YouTube. You want your videos on the biggest sites, I mean, with the biggest audiences. And by the way, another quick little thing, if you don't want to spend any money on a video editor, YouTube Studio in a YouTube account is free and is pretty decent free video editor. It's gotten a lot better.
Yeah. They're really great tools.
Yeah. And it does, annotations and captioning for free. It does all kinds of cool stuff. So to me, almost any style of video should live on YouTube. The only times I would say maybe you would think about Vimeo instead is if you want to protect that video and encrypt it from a security standpoint, or if you want just the most higher res. I mean, you can upload a 4K or an 8K video to YouTube, but it'll degrade the heck out of it to make it run fast on YouTube. Whereas Vimeo can keep that really high resolution.
And as far as storing the raw files, I guess anywhere like Google Drive or Dropbox or anywhere else on the cloud works, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, if you just want to share a video just with a customer, just upload it to Google Drive or Dropbox and share them that link. But if you want to use it for marketing, then it needs to be somewhere online.
All right. That's good. That's good. So let's talk about ego. I think we just had this discussion before we
Yeah.
started this, but I think, and I think we talked about this, that your biggest enemy in video production is ego.
It's you.
It's you. You think
Yeah.
this is not good enough. This is not reflecting my brand. This is not perfect. How do you get on with this? And how do you solve that?
Yeah, well, to me, I don't know if the ego is the right word for it. To me, it's more about just fear. Because 99% of the realtors that come to my events, when I talk about marketing and video, I hear every excuse possible. I hear, I don't like myself on camera. I don't like my voice. I'm afraid I'm going to screw up. I mean, they just come up with excuse after excuse, but it's all about just getting over the fear and just doing it. I mean, I could tell you, some of the prettiest people on the planet don't like themselves on video, right? Or don't like their voices or whatever it might be, but they just do it. I don't think I'm a great looking person, but I've created thousands of videos because I just get in front of the camera and go, right? I'm not worried about if I flub a word, whatever, you just keep going. Or if my hair is just a teeny bit off, it's not a big deal. So you got to get over yourself, whether it's ego, fear, whatever it is, and just start generating the content. And the other thing is, if it all is really about you, like you just can't get over you being on camera, there's so many styles where you don't have to be on camera, right? Like you could do voice narration, you could pay someone to do it for you. I mean, there's a lot of ways to do it where if you can't get over that fear, there's other ways to go about it. But to me, it is really all about getting past that fear and just doing it.
And if you, I always say this, like if you're scared of appearing on camera, start doing like micro stories of your properties, of your things, and just grab the camera and start doing small stories. Like it could be your favorite coffee shop. It could be you picking up kids from school, right? Whatever it is, start making small steps. And then automatically after a while, you would start to get over that fear. And speaking of fear and not looking good, look at my hair, guys, today. Do I care? No, I just showed up, and this is it, right? Like it's not perfect, but who cares? Like you're showing up, you're adding content, and this is the authenticity part, right? This is 100% you doing the work to show up and the accountability to actually go through with the work. That's awesome. So now let's talk over. Okay, so short videos versus long videos. I think this is always a interesting topic because I always get these realtors that are asking me, can I make the same content as I'm posting on YouTube, also post it on TikTok? And I think we know the answer, but I would love to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, people's attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. We're down to now a 7-second attention span. So the only
7 seconds. Wow.
7 seconds. Yeah, it's crazy. So the only time
you want to take anything away from this webinar would be that 7 seconds.
There it is, right
7 seconds to take my attention, and that's it.
Oh, and by the way, goldfish are 8, so we're just a notch below goldfish. So, yeah. So I mean, you really don't want to do long form video unless you're preparing the consumer for long form, right? Like if it's going to be a 20-minute infomercial where you're going to talk about, investing or whatever it is, and they know they're going to invest 20 minutes into it, then you can go long form. But these days, it's the shorter, the better. And I'm not trying to say your video should be 7 seconds. But one thing that is huge in the video editing world is, and that's another thing that I coach, is if you are creating your own video and you're editing your own video, you need to understand what are called cuts. And what a cut basically is every video clip should be no longer than 8 seconds. Like you don't want to have 27 seconds of the kitchen and then the next 34 seconds of the bedroom. It should only be about 7 or 8 seconds of the kitchen, cut to the bedroom. A couple more seconds of the bedroom, cut to the pool. Like it should kind of change perspective and things every few seconds because people lose attention so quickly. And the other thing when it comes to short or long term is you got to think about what channel you're marketing on, right? Like you mentioned it a second ago. A site like TikTok or Facebook stories or whatever it might be, you got to be short in there because that's what people are totally expecting. You go along and they're going to, if they see the stories as like a tiny little thread because you did so many of them, they skip past it really, really quick. So understanding the channel you're on also helps you determine how long it should be. And the other thing I'll throw out there is if you are building video, longer form video for YouTube, you got to understand the metrics YouTube is looking at. Because one of the major metrics YouTube uses these days is watch time, which is what % of people get to the end of your video. So if you create,
so if you're making like a 30-minute video and no one actually makes it to the end,
it kills you. You'll never get recommended by YouTube.
That's a golden advice, man. That is the key. I think we're all guilty of just creating these long contents without thinking who would actually watch it through the end.
Oh, totally. And I'll give you an example. Like, and I coach this. If you watch good YouTubers, and I'm talking about, you know, the gamers and all that have huge popular channels, I guarantee you, if you watch any of their videos, they all follow the same script. The first 20 seconds of the video, hey guys, thanks for joining my video today. It's gonna be about 7 minutes. I'm gonna cover these 4 things. Stick around to them for a big surprise, right? They're setting the stage
until the end. I think is the answer, right?
Exactly. They tell you how
long what it is that you want to do, and then giving that surprise in the end. Like there's something in the end. Make sure you
correct. But they're setting the stage right away at the beginning of the video to let you know, I want you to stay for 7 minutes, and here's why I want you to stay. And again, good YouTubers, if you watch them, they're also kind of annoying because they're constantly saying, hey, do me a favor, subscribe to my channel, click my notification bell, because another metric YouTube uses is how many times somebody watches your videos, right? One view out of a person is useless. You got to get them watching multiple. So it's understanding the algorithm so you could game it. But again, the channel you're posting to really determines the length. But you got to make sure short and sweet, or you prepare people for longer.
And it's going to be hard. I always say, like, try fitting what you're saying to a client today in 1 minute.
Yep.
And a lot of times the content that you should produce should be the stuff out of your yesterday's conversation with a client, right? Like you had this topic, it was on your mind. Now let's talk about it, right? And the key thing is, I think if you try to fit it in 1 minute, you would see how much extra things you're saying there that shouldn't be there. Like you can just cut it off and make it short and sweet, right? And I think that 7 seconds that you mentioned is the golden key. Like I'm browsing my social media, you're asking me to watch this 5-minute video, no thanks. Right. But if it's 7 seconds, you're telling me what to watch in the next, like maybe 30 seconds, maybe I'll watch that.
I'm in for that.
And I think another topic is that those like and I think you would notice we can mention this even more, those subtexts or
captioning.
Captioning. I think that is the key thing, right? Just to make sure that people are, because they could be watching this with someone next to them, so they don't want to
100%
turn on the voice.
A lot. I don't have an exact stat, but I know a high percentage of videos watched on social media are watched without audio. So captioning is huge. You definitely need that. And again, it's a free service in YouTube. There's a lot of tools out there that'll do captioning. Facebook now auto generates the captions. So does Instagram and TikTok. Like several of them now do it for you. But captioning is really, really important.
I think that's awesome. That's awesome. And then, how do I get over? This is not good enough. I'm posting it. Like, tell me, how do I do that?
To me, that's just about ripping the Band-Aid and doing it. The other thing is, if you just are trying to build up the confidence, one, you could either just privately share that video just to a small group of friends and ask for feedback. Or if you want to do it like on social media, all the social media sites typically in your posting box typically have the option to post it privately or post it just to your friends or to a small group of people. So that's kind of a way to test things out. If you're kind of just don't have the confidence to do it out to the public yet, is either just share it to a small group of friends, like manually, or do it posting wise.
That's awesome. All right. So is there anything else you want to share with our audience today? Something that we haven't covered about videos, something that they can take away and remember from this webinar? What would it be?
I think the major thing is just the authenticity and just get over it part, right? Like whatever is holding you back, whether it's fear, whether it's ego, whatever, just kind of pushing through and just doing it. And then if by chance video is not your thing, again, to me, it's all about generating content. So if you're more comfortable writing, you can go that path. If you're more comfortable doing social media posting, whatever, but it's really about having consistent presence in your marketing life is the key.
So authenticity, consistency, and lack of fear. Just get out there and do it. Stop perfecting it.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. And the other thing that I'll throw in, and it ties into what you guys do really, really well, is one of the major categories that I preach video should be created about is local, right?
Local videos.
It's right. It's that, why should I move to your town? What are the schools like? What's the dining life? What's the housing values like in the area? People want to know about where they live or where they want to move to. So local video or local content in general is, to me, some of the smartest content you can create. And that really does tie into what you guys do well.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think we should just accept the fact that we are in an education business. We are not in a selling business. So the moment you stop posting just listed and just sold because you think this is the easy route, you just grab the picture of the property, stick a just sold on it, that's when your social media starts to kind of take like real progress, because you have to add actual value. You have to tell me what's happening with interest rates. You have to tell me what you think of the market. What are your thoughts? And I think this is the key thing. And another thing that I keep seeing is like realtors are like, well, Caddy on the on YouTube already said this. Well, who cares? Like there's the same news and Fox News and CNN and everyone else is talking about the same thing, but they just cover it differently. And
and not just that, just because one person on YouTube, there's 1 billion hours of video added every day on YouTube. So like,
and chances are, I guess 99% of my followers are not the same as yours. So
correct. That's what I mean by it's lost in a sea of billions of videos. So you, just because one person did it doesn't mean you can't do it or do it better.
Yeah, I think that's great. So thank you everyone for joining this webinar. Thank you, Craig. We learned a lot. And guys, Craig is an amazing coach. He will teach you a lot of great things about various things, everything content. So it could be writing content, it could be creating content, whatever it is, get on his website. He has a ton of material that he can teach you about different things about content creation. And
which is reti.us.
Yes. All right. So we are going to put this link underneath this video as well. Thank you. Thank you again for joining, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye, guys.